so you can maybe pass on to others. I hope that's okay with everybody. Right, so I'm Jeremy Bohn. I'm the director of training at Work Avenue. Know and have met some of you, but not all of you. For a quick intro, for those that don't know, traditionally the training program at Work Avenue is for our classic Work Avenue clients, who are people seeking employment, seeking work, needing new skills to help them get that work, and also the same for small businesses looking to start up, needing new skills. So we have run training courses over the last 3 years, actually, heavily subsidized ones, to give people different skills in things like web design, graphic design, Microsoft Excel, social media. And then quite commonly, I've worked with the small charities, big charities, small businesses like yourselves that might need to outsource work as opposed to hire people full time, and actually put some of the people in that we've trained into freelance roles to help them get the permanent role. So that's what I do generally. And one of the things I wanted to do a few months ago was work with Craig Hartzel, who is based in the Work Avenue building, the Wall building at where Work Avenue is based, and actually look at how we could train in the world of AI. As Craig's the expert at that, and prompt engineering, learning how to use ChatGPT and other tools to really get the best out of AI to make your jobs and make your companies and charities more efficient was something I wanted to look to do. So we originally ran a pilot 3-day course, which actually was attended by, I can see at least one person, I think, on this who's on this Zoom, which Work Avenue heavily subsidized, actually, to see how it would work if with Craig's training. And it was an incredibly successful training course, such that we've in the meantime run another one for those individuals that were looking to learn new skills. And then we looked at how we could expand this, really. And one of the areas that Craig wanted to do, and is working with us in collaboration here, is to make sure that we run a course specifically tailored and bespoke for charities. And Melissa Sherratt at Camp Simcha was instrumental, really, in coming up with this idea as well. And what's the purpose of it, as Craig will demonstrate over the next 15 minutes or so, is to have a course whereby not just the general AI and prompt engineering tools are being trained so that you can go back and become an expert at it, but that Craig is bespoking it for the sorts of things that charities will need. So we think we're going to provide you with a terrific opportunity on this course, which will be in person at the Work Avenue offices in September. And I will continually send that link where you can actually sign up for it. You probably all know, but I'm going to send it a lot on the chat. It's on the Work Avenue website. It'll be run in person, which we think is better. It'll be run over 3 days. I think it's a Monday, a Thursday, and a Monday in September. And it will be a real opportunity to get a huge insight into the world of AI, particularly prompting, and how to get the best out of it for what charities will need. I think once Craig has finished his presentation, there'll be lots and lots of opportunity to ask Craig and myself questions. And the goal will be at the end of this session that you'll be all dying to sign up. We do only have, we think, 12 places, because when you're running a training course in person, to make sure that everyone gets the best value out of it, we think 12 is probably the maximum number. I'm convinced we'll be probably oversubscribed and therefore need to run it again. We'll have to see how that goes. And what we also do quite a lot now at Work Avenue is try to create more individual bespoke training for those that need it and price it accordingly. So that's probably enough for me at the start here. Now really over to Craig, and for the next 10-15 minutes, I'm imagining Craig will be talking to you and explaining, yeah, what's the fuss about all this AI. There we are. Took my cue from that first slide. Over to you, Craig.
Okay, so this is human Craig. It's not bot Craig. You'll be glad to know. Although I do have a bot version, but for now, just so you know, it is me. There you go. Can you see my screen, Jeremy? AI, what's the fuss?
I can. I hope
Okay,
everyone else
great.
can.
Yep. All right. Confirmed. So you are probably thinking like, what actually is the fuss over this whole AI business? And I'm going to tell you, well, the reason why you need to get on AI. And I'm going to try and make this session a tiny bit of theory of understanding. So at least you get something out of it. I'm going to show you how to, in essence, speak to the AI to generate good prompts to get good output. I'll then show you some use cases within your charities because one thing that I've realized, training many people now is you don't know what you don't know. So hopefully I'll be able to give you some insights into how it could be used, within your charities. And then we'll have a bit of a Q&A session at the end and see if I can help. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about the kind of myths and legends around AI. So the first myth is it is an instant solution for all charity challenges. Well, obviously that is not the case, okay? AI in terms of a strategy does require something that's really thought out. It requires relevant data and a continuous improvement and iteration. And it really helps if you do have somebody within your organization that can lead this kind of AI initiative, which I'll come to shortly. However, there are some super, super easy wins that you should all be doing in any case. The next myth, that AI is only for automating simple jobs. Well, that is like completely not the case. It can do so many great things from extending functions in terms of data analysis. It could do predictive analysis. It can do impact measurement on what you're all trying to achieve with your charities. It can have sophisticated donor relations and personalize all your content so it resonates with people that you're trying to engage with. So it's more than just this kind of basic, simple automation. And the other myth, it's always accurate and unbiased. Also, that's not true, which I will also come to shortly. So the AI kind of generally in the systems are only as good as the data that they're trained on. So if the training data or any information that you upload has a bias, then the output will also be biased. Okay. Now, this is the big myth. The AI is a replacement for the human workforce. Okay. Now, obviously, you can see on the slide here, McKinsey did the study, and they're saying that up to 70% of tasks currently performed can basically be automated and done by AI. However, there is room for this person here. And if you think about this person, this is the maestro, okay? So he's conducting all of these AI bots, and one bot could be a data analysis bot, one bot could be a market research, one bot could be an impact analysis. But you still need that person to actually make sure that they're all working in harmony together. And it is of my personal opinion that if I was just coming out of university or I wanted to reskill, this kind of prompt engineering person is, I think, would be something that many organizations are going to need moving forward over the next 5 years as we really dive into this kind of AI era. Remember also that there is a product market fit. So AI is only as good as the information that you ask it, that you prompt it. So if somebody were to say to me, can you build me an AI efficiency on an oil rig? I'd be like, no, because I've never been on an oil rig. So in that kind of instance, you'll understand that all the information that you have as you built it up in your charity careers and whatever departments you're in, that will hold you in really good stead moving forward as using something like ChatGPT as like, the best assistant you'll ever have. So let's talk a little bit about two more myths and then we'll move on to some really cool practical stuff. It's not going to affect my charity. Well, 100% it is going to affect your charity because it can just create so many efficiencies. It can do things so much better. It can give you data and insights that you may not have thought of. It can give you opportunities that you may not have thought of. So it can really will and is significantly impacting charities at the moment. And the final myth, oh, it's too expensive. It's not too expensive. It all depends on the complexities on how you want to use it. But if you can afford a $20 a month ChatGPT Plus package, there are a million great things that you can do within your organization. So we're going to do a little bit of learning now, okay? And I'll keep this brief, but it's fun. Prompt engineering. So you may have heard the phrase prompt engineering. Some people call it prompt writing, prompt designing. It's basically the way that you chat and you talk to an AI in order for you to get good output. So if somebody says, I've used ChatGPT and it's rubbish, it's because they're not using it correctly. They're probably just using it to write birthday cards and these kind of things. We've all been guilty of that, right? Or even Valentine's cards. However, it does so much more. Now, where can you use kind of like this whole prompt engineering? Well, you can use it on any tool, whether it's a ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, Perplexity, whichever tool you want to use, you know, prompt engineering will work on all of these, okay? Let's talk about generative AI for a moment. So you can see here, here's a definition. Generative AI refers to a subset of artificial intelligence. What, look, I'm not even going to make you read all that, okay? So let me explain it in the way that resonates. So if you think of generative AI as like a master chef, and they've got this pantry, and this pantry is basically the massive knowledge base. And in ChatGPT's instance, it's the internet, right? It's scientific journals, it transcribes YouTube videos, all sorts of things. The LLM or the tool that you use, like ChatGPT or Gemini or Copilot, is like the chef. So you would say, I want something Italian with a modern twist. And then the chef will take that instruction, go all the way into the pantry, look at all its ingredients, and create you a unique dish. Now, the other way of really thinking about it is a good prompt engineer is basically a good communicator. If you go to a restaurant and you just say, I want some pasta, that'll be fed back to the chef and you'll probably come out with some plain pasta, which you don't want. So you'd think, oh, I'm in a bad restaurant. Well, it's actually a bad order, right? So if you were to say, you know, I want some pasta with lots of basil, with maybe a bit of a twist, and I like it hot, it's going to go back to the chef. He's going to look at his all his ingredients. He's going to create this amazing dish for you. So remember, a good prompt engineer is basically a good communicator. Bad input in, bad output out. And that's why it's really important to understand prompt engineering. And here's just an example of a bad prompt. Tell me where to holiday in Europe. Well, you can imagine going into a travel agency and saying, you know, find me a holiday in Europe. You need to be more specific. So if you say things
Have been
like,
done.
you know,
Thank
I'm
you.
planning a relaxing getaway for two, focusing on outdoor activities, blah, 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 and I want a maximum flying time of 3 hours from the UK, you're going to get some really good outputs from that. And in terms of like the generative part, the generative are things that you can create using the AI. So from a creative aspect, you've got things like stories and poems and music and even code. My child and I, Sophia, we often create stories using AI, and it's really fun. She comes up with the characters and the environment, and then we create these stories. But from a charity perspective, it's things like, you know, donor engagement. Can you do some fundraising automation, the data analysis, which is a big one, grant research and writing the grants to make sure it has the best impact with whoever's giving away the grants, social media management, report generation. So there's a lot that you can do. And the tool that I like to use the most really is ChatGPT, which I'm sure you've all tried or used. And it's really ChatGPT that's had this like cultural impact on AI, and it's really brought it to the forefront. It drew in like 1 million users in 5 days, and it's so versatile, and it's literally like chatting to an assistant. With ChatGPT, you can use it for many different cases, from marketing, data analysis, report generation, event planning, compliance. As I said before, grant finding and writing, the list goes on. If you imagine ChatGPT like the ultimate library, and you're sitting in that really comfortable chair, and you're literally surrounded by the best minds that have lived, dead, whatever, okay? And your prompt, your question is asking that all-knowing librarian, I need this information. What is the best way of doing that? I remember when I was a kid, I'd go into a bookstore, and I always thought, I wouldn't be amazing if I could like download all this amazing knowledge and information into my brain. Well, really, with ChatGPT, you can actually do that. So if you think you know you've got your board table of trustees and directors of the charity, you know, if you really want now, you could have the business acumen of Bill Gates or the visionary of Elon Musk. So you get the point. You can really, really harness ChatGPT for some amazing things. But of course, with any kind of power, there is responsibility. Okay. And this is the thing. ChatGPT and LLMs, which stands for large language models, they're based on probability. They're a mathematical algorithm. So every response that you get from ChatGPT is basically a calculated guess on what it thinks you want from this vast database of human text, which is the internet. The more information you give, the more likely it is to give you the output that you want. So if I were to go into ChatGPT and say, tell me about Barcelona, it could tell me about the football club. But if I say I'm an architect, tell me about Barcelona, it's now zoomed in a bit, right, on maybe the architecture within Barcelona. If I say I'm a food critic, it will talk about the cuisine in Barcelona. So the more context that you give it, the best probability you'll get better outputs. And there's ways of doing that. So you now understand, hopefully, what prompt engineering is generally. You should have a general understanding of generative AI, and you understand a little bit about ChatGPT. So let's talk about ChatGPT just for a second, so you can actually get something, you know, that you can take out of this call. How do you get the best from ChatGPT? So the process that I teach is called prime prompt output dance. So good input in, good output out. So what exactly do you think priming is? So priming is like setting the context of the conversation. So if you imagine you're a director of a play and you've got to decide on the characters that you want in that play. So one role could be a supportive donor relations manager. So it makes sure that all interactions that it comes out are warm, welcoming, and informative. You can also then set the theme of the communication. So you want it to be supportive and empathic. This would be different if you're doing a financial impact report to your stakeholders, to the trustees. It would be a different output, right? So it's very important to set the context. And when you set the context, you get consistency in all your communications. So it's like, okay, this is it. This is the prime. And everything that you ask ChatGPT is going to use that context moving forward. So let's talk about prompting for a moment. Prompting is basically asking questions or giving tasks. So telling what the AI what to do. So I think of it like a wish, like, you know, what would be on your wish list of all the things that you can do within your charities or the roles within your charities? So here's just a very basic example. You could say, generate a social media plan that resonates with our donor base and increases engagement. So it's kind of like giving a little bit of context with the prompt of what you require as an output. And obviously this is very basic. You'd go into much more details. So I like to think of it as like doing one wish at a time. So one instruction at a time. It's like the old marketing adage, you know, I throw you 10 balls, you're not going to catch any. If I throw you one ball, you'll catch it. So that's like with ChatGPT or any of the models that you use. So be specific. If I said to a genie, I wish for riches, the genie might literally put £1,000,000 of notes by my feet. But maybe my idea of riches is a healthy and happy family. So the genie doesn't know that unless I tell the genie that. Again, it's just a conversation. Prime it with the context. So what information does the AI need to give you a good output? You prompt it, which is the goal of the communication, whether that's asking questions or actually generating content that you're going to take externally. And this is the thing. If it needs more context, you can ask it. So if you're not quite sure that the information that you're providing is good enough to get a good response, you could actually say to ChatGPT, is there anything else that any other information and details that I can give you to make this better? So here's a very basic example again. It's a prime prompt example. So the prime and the context. So I wanted to, this is a fictional company pretending that I wanted to do a product launch for my new eco-friendly water bottle. So my prime and context was, imagine you're a digital marketing expert tasked with creating an email campaign for our new eco-friendly water bottle. My prompt, I wanted a subject line and email body with my goal, which you can see there, increasing open rates and driving pre-orders. And there's my clarification statement. And here's just an example that it came up with. It asked me a few questions. It said, well, what's the bottle made of? And I just said, recycled materials from the ocean. Who's my target audience? I made it up. You can see very basic. So you can see here the information that came out where the subject line is transform the ocean one sip at a time, meet your new water companion with some emojis. Now, I think that output is pretty good. Would I have thought of that? No. Um, you could then say to ChatGPT, and this is the dance part, I like the subject line, but make it more FOMO, fear of missing out, or give it more of an empathic line, or transfer it to make it more as if it's for children. And that's the dance part of the prime prompt output dance. Okay. I like to prime with an expert. And let me explain to you why. And this is really big. So ChatGPT is an amazing tool. And you imagine like a Swiss Army knife, it can do everything and everything relatively well. But if you're going fishing, you don't take a Swiss Army knife with you to go fishing, do you? You take like a fishing rod. And then you don't just need the fishing rod, you need somebody like behind the fishing rod that actually knows what they're doing with the fishing rod. You know, they know what bait to use, they know where to cast the rod. You know, are we fishing in the ocean, in a lake, in a river? So this is all a knowledge base that you can prime into ChatGPT that will give you even better outputs. And by doing this, you're basically taking, you know, this ChatGPT from this versatile generalist to this precise expert. I'm going to give you an example. So this is Penelope, and Penelope is a customer persona expert. So whether you're in any form of communications, you have to speak in a way that resonates with your audience. As we mentioned earlier, if you're talking to a stakeholder, it's different to if you're talking to a donor or a beneficiary. Now, Penelope's trained in things which the top part is, I call them competencies. So she's competent in neuromarketing, consumer psychology, etc. And then below a competency is a skill set. So under consumer behavior understanding, she understands psychological analysis. She understands consumer profiling. She understands trend forecasting. So from a marketing and communications perspective, you all probably know that if you know your audience, you're going to upgrade your outputs within ChatGPT, right? So again, depending on who you're talking to, the output will be different. If you're talking to Bob, it's going to be very different how you talk to Megan or Pam or Julie. And by doing so, you have a very, very super important prime. So this is like Adrian Reed, who's my persona. And this is all the very boring stuff. It goes very deep. But you would say into ChatGPT as a prime, to give you context, this is the type of person we are talking to. Make sure you take this into consideration when writing any marketing materials, with writing any reports, with writing any emails. And then it will output exactly what your persona wants. So what resonates with it. And I always like to ask ChatGPT or any AI, why? Why is this going to resonate with them? Why is this subject line going to get better open rates? And it will give you its reasons. And sometimes, the majority of the time in my case, I'm like, oh yeah, you're actually right, even if I disagree. And then if I do disagree, well, then you make that human decision, right? I disagree and I'm going to move forward. But at least it gives you an idea. This is Gloria, which is probably all relevant for a lot of you. So Gloria is our grant writer. So Gloria has competencies in things like strategic thinking, strategic program applications, impact measurement, financial measurement. And then remember, under each of those competencies, she has skill sets. So from an overall grant, like writing acumen, she understands like research landscapes. She understands how to write great writings, how to communicate scientifically, you know, if necessary, how to read the documents of that the grant writers give out in order to give the best response. So there's a lot that Gloria can do. And she can also actually go on the web and continuously look for grant opportunities for specific charities. So moving on, just from our little learning part of it, you've got this prompt template, okay? You've got the prime and context, where you put in your expert or the background or the scenario or the audience you want to talk to. You've got the prompt, which is the outcome, which is your task, the question, instruction, and just clarification. Just ask. If you're not sure, just ask. So let's think some of the ways and you guys will know better than me because I don't work in charities, but how could this be used within the charity sector? Now, obviously, marketing and awareness. So you can create those persona creations. It will give you a messaging hierarchy. And a message hierarchy is like, what is the most important thing that needs to be like top in order to resonate with that person? What's the hook, which hooks them in? And that is basically the message hierarchy. You can do omni-channel donor marketing strategies. So across all your channels, all your socials, all your emails, if you do pay-per-click, whatever it is, of course, it can write your social emails and your social media and your emails and create a 30-day plan for you. It can write your educational outreach, your content creation. Like it can write things in such a way that would resonate with. Oh, we got.
All right, I just muted. I think it was Stuart. I've just muted.
Okay. So, what would actually resonate with these people? How do you get the message out there about what your charity does and the great things to get people to want to donate more and more often? And it's all different. It's all very personalized for different people. This is a biggie, which I think charities would really benefit from, which is like this research data and analysis and insights. So of course you can use it in market research, whether it's public information or private information, see what the emerging trends are, best practices and charitable activities. You can analyze complex data sets to find, the way donor behaviors work. Perhaps you can look at why specific donors only donate to you in August. Maybe there are reasons, maybe they're away, or who knows. So there's loads of different things that you can find out. You can use it to prepare strategic reports, again, whether that's for grant writers or your stakeholders, and create these compelling narratives. You could do predictive analysis for future planning. So actually understanding what the forecasts are, you can enhance your strategic planning side. And, obviously then you're doing proactive decision making. There's just so many things. Sentiment analysis. So you can look at all your socials and all the communications and see how the public are perceiving what you do as a charity, and then necessarily change your communications based off that. Benchmarking, impact reporting, we spoke about, to see exactly where your money goes and how it is, impacting where it should be impacting. And again, the whole grant research. So in terms of these kind of like ChatGPT side of things and what I show on this course, it's like you can prompt engineer your way to data intelligence glory. And the interesting thing is that what the AI does is it really provides another systematic viewpoint in the room. So you can sit around with all the trustees and the board members, but the AI brings an approach based on like who your expert is that none of you may have thought of or have. Okay, and it can look at so much data. Final thing of what some of the things it can do is management assistance. So it can help make decisions. It can help with training and development of your team. It can help with any kind of conflict resolutions. And again, with strategic planning for growth opportunities. Are you wasting money here? Should it, would it be better spent there? And if we talk about like frameworks, and this is the little fun slide that I added in, should we all become instant MBAs? Okay, so that was me before and that was me after. And in terms of frameworks, right, we all have these frameworks, these business frameworks, these production frameworks, these sales frameworks. And what it can do is that it's trained and it understands all these frameworks. So whether it's a SWOT or a value chain or a Porter's generic strategy, I don't even know what Porter's generic strategy is, but I don't need to know, because it can act like these top management consultants firms, and they all have their own frameworks. So you could say to it, create me a SWOT analysis on this use case, or we're thinking of doing this within our charity, or we're thinking of spending some funds in this area within our charity. Can you do a SWOT analysis in order for us to really flesh out whether we should or shouldn't? And let's say you don't actually even understand which maybe a management framework that you would use in this instance. So you would say to ChatGPT, we're looking to do this, we're looking at the pros and cons. What management framework would you suggest would give us the best probability of deciding one way or another that we go with it? And then always ask why. And then it will suggest something that maybe you haven't even heard of. So you literally become instant MBAs. You could chat with absolutely anything, any data, any PDFs. So you can look at financial statements, you can look at plans, reports, email threads, and you can get insights from all these things. And in fact, on the course, I made up a fictional company called Sunshine Electronics. And to get the point across, I had the delegates actually, I gave them questions. I said, well, you know, here is some his fictional data. They downloaded it and then they uploaded it to ChatGPT. And I said, right, find me these insights. Like, what are the best selling items during the summer? Why are they the best selling items during the summer? Why is umbrellas sold loads in Britain? Because it's always raining. You know, simple things like that. So that's what you would learn. And I'll be using, rather than have kind of like business financials, we'll be using examples from like actual charity financials, obviously all made up, but it'll be kind of like the template. It can do something called this tree of thought, which basically mimics human problem solving. So if you've got a problem in your business, or you're a lonely CEO, you're like, oh my goodness, like I don't know what to do. We've all had those times, right? But I can't actually tell anyone that I don't know what I'm doing. You could actually have ChatGPT and you could talk to it. And what it does is it mimics different areas. So if you put in your problem, it will say, right, for this problem, I'm going to bring in a management consultant that's focused on X. I'm going to bring in a human resource person that's focused on Y, and another one on Z. And they literally argue with each other until they all agree on the best output. And then you look at it and you can ask. So finally, let's just all look at the elephant in the room, right? This whole data and security thing, which I get a lot. Now, just like anything that you're going to use online, you've got to obviously have these key privacy concerns. So ChatGPT or whatever tool you use is going to save your user data, your conversation history, and your account information. So obviously make sure it's safe. Obviously, there's a potential breach. So, you know, if you finished with a thread, you can always just delete it. You know, ChatGPT says that it doesn't use the data that you give to further train the AI. It does if you're on the free version, but it says it doesn't if you're on the plus. Whether they do or whether they don't, I don't know. So really, in terms of best practices, you just avoid sharing sensitive information. You sanitize your input. So if you're uploading a massive section, you know, you just remove people's names and addresses, like person one, person two, that kind of thing. If you're really worried, use all the privacy settings that these people, you know, these companies give you. And if you're really at the next level, you can use something called private GPT. So like Microsoft Azure has a service where you can deploy ChatGPT's LLM within this secure environment. But at the end of the day, you know, if banks can be hacked, you know, of course these other places can be hacked. So you've got to be, you know, you've got to be conscious of that. So really, if you're really, really worried, it's almost worth creating your own private GPT where really the data could also be offline. So I've tried to cover a lot because I know I'm going to have some questions. So that's my lot for now. I hope I haven't like glazed everyone over. I've tried to go quite a lot and give you something to benefit from. Do we have any questions regarding anything? Jeremy, do you want to take the...
Yeah, well, I'll take the lead. First of all, thanks so much, Craig, for your time on that, and I'm sure it has blown a lot of people's minds because there is so much it can do. I mean, just a few things to say. Obviously, this is a what 1% of what the course will be. All of those topics will be gone into in significant depth. It's not a workshop we're running. It's a 3-day training course, so it's a commitment, and there's a financial commitment as well. I understand that, but you're really going to get a lot out of it. I think the main aim is to say that it's going to be just so hugely valuable for everyone. Right, in questions, there are a lot of people on here, so yeah, Craig, if you want to stop sharing so I can see
Okay.
the room, and then maybe people raising hands, I can try and see. So Lisa, I can see. Yeah, please go ahead.
Hi, thanks very much. Thanks, Craig. I've kind of got two questions. The first one is, we're keen to send someone from JPD on the course, and I think we've identified who. But I think for me, as the chief executive, what's really important is that this not it's what aspect of the course might you be able to, can you build some kind of training going back into your organization within the course, so that whoever we send as charities will be able to kind of almost digest and then cascade out, thinking through, because a lot of what you focus on is, say, marketing and comms, but I'm thinking that maybe someone who's responsible for operations would go. That's the first question. So kind of, is there a training aspect to come back to the organization? And the second is just kind of is a little bit broader, which is that you focused a lot on ChatGPT, and I mean, I have been looking at Microsoft 365 pilots, and so, what I've kind of, the message I've heard from our IT suppliers and others is that if we were to use that, it's a safer space to use than ChatGPT. And I just wondered if you can just talk about, because obviously the big concern is around privacy, and about, especially if you're doing things like grant bids and things like that, where's that information all going? Is there a view that if you go down a route and using Microsoft, then there's a safer space there?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, no, absolutely.
Craig, answer that second one part first, if you wouldn't mind. So about the security, and then I'll join you with an answer on the of the first part, which is about what can they take back. But the second part, what about the security aspect in the Microsoft version?
Yeah. So a lot of charities are coming to me now saying exactly what you said, Lisa, about the 365 and the 365 Copilot. A lot of what you see, what you need to kind of understand is that what the training does is it explains to you the different use cases on how to actually use AI within the business organization. Okay, now the reason I use ChatGPT is because I find that, you know, it's affordable for most people that can come for $20 a month, but also the way you can interact with it and the things that you can do. So really what you learn can be taken to any kind of tool, whether it's Claude you want to use, or Perplexity, well, Perplexity is different, or ChatGPT, or Microsoft 365. But Microsoft 365 is a little bit different because you have all the different Microsoft applications like Word, like, you know, Excel, and all the PowerPoint, and it all kind of integrates on, you know, maybe you've got a bit of bump and you want to create a presentation for it, and it will automatically then move it onto PowerPoint. But what I would say, it's more about the kind of understanding of how to use it, to how to use AI and speak to it, and understand some of the things that it can do. So when it comes to 365, yes, it can definitely be, you can definitely learn from what I'm teaching and put it onto 365, but it's not a 365 training like, if you want to do this, then do that. If you're in Excel and you want to take this data out in order to create a PowerPoint presentation, follow these steps. But it will make you start thinking in those ways, in what can be done for it. So you can, I guess the bottom line is that everything that you'll learn, you can definitely integrate it into 365, but it's not a 365 training. Does that answer your question?
So the second bit of the question, you said it's going to make you think a certain way. It would be really good to know that kind of towards the end of that course, there'll be something that you'll share with those that are there to get them to try and help their colleagues to think that way as well. Otherwise, we've just got one skill within the organization.
I agree with that, Lisa, and Craig can support what I'm saying, which is that all our courses, and I totally do want this course to be one which is where the delegates get a lot of information which is for them to share within their organization anyway. Number one, there's homework normally, so you're on it, and by doing that you're able to sometimes even bespoke that homework towards your organization. And thirdly, I absolutely hear that point, and would encourage Craig, I'm sure he's going to say yes anyway, that to your first point of the question, is that the representative that you send ought to be in a position to then share and in a mini way teach and improve other departments and individuals within the organization. That is definitely the goal of it. And finally, if anyone is asking very specific and niche questions, obviously we have to run a course that we think is best for the whole. That isn't to say that one can't say, I actually would like some one-to-one, or my organization would like some one-to-one training with Craig separately, and that can either be with Work Avenue's collaboration or not, to be honest with you, but there's that option as well. So Craig, was that
And also, yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Well, I think as well is that the way the kind of training works, and I think Melissa could probably pipe in now if we don't have if she's okay to do that. I don't want to put her on the spot, but I also provide these like templates. So the way it works, it's very kind of hands-on, and I really try and make sure that people understand and get it. And then once they've kind of they do have these templates that they could then literally follow along with their staff in their organizations to obviously try and get the best impact from setting that one person. I mean, Melissa, you've been on one. Do you want to pipe up to tell what you think?
Yes, I'm happy to pipe up. That's fine. So I actually at our last ops forum meeting introduced this whole concept of AI and using it within our organizations and ChatGPT because of Craig's course. And when Craig mentions about this way of thinking, it really is a different way of interacting and playing with ChatGPT. And not necessarily ChatGPT. I know, Lisa, you're concerned about Copilot. I actually had a meeting with Craig on Monday, and this is exactly what we were speaking about, is using it for other platforms. It really does open up your mind to the way in which we interact with these platforms. And what Craig does during the training is it's really hands-on and practical. Craig isn't sitting there, you know, verbatim telling you what to do. He gives us an instruction. It really is homework, and we're actually using the platform, and you're using it for scenarios that are relevant to yourself and your work. So I sat there, as you know, with my ops hat on, and I was developing policies whilst I was in the training, because I was creating the experts and prompting and priming and all the things that Craig talks about, and actually applying it to my work while I was sitting there in the training with Craig. So it's really, really practical. What I'm actually doing for my senior leadership team is I'm taking elements of Craig's training, and I'm going to do like a share my knowledge training session with my SLT team, so that I can really take it back to my organization.
Not staying there
And help them use it as well. So I'm also hoping to really filter it down. So yeah, I hope that helps.
Thanks, Melissa.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shahaf,
Nice
you've been
words.
waiting patiently there with your hand up.
Thank you so much. Firstly, thanks. I think it's brilliant to have a specific training, AI training for charities. I am using ChatGPT. So my first question is it a myth or not that ChatGPT is much more United States vibes, culture, wording? How much adaptation we need to do for the UK culture and around this one? And the second question is, are we going to touch base on the training with other, for example, design AI tools like Midjourney or something like that?
Yeah, okay. So to answer your first question, it's just down to your priming and prompting that you're getting these Americanisms. So you just have to literally make sure there's certain ways of prompt tagging. So you would just say there'll be a prompt tag which you'll learn, which is basically use UK English spelling as like a simple one. And then also the tone of voice that you want to use. I always know when something's been written by AI. There are just certain clues, things like, you know, the word elevate. If I ever hear the word elevate, I know it's AI. In the digital landscape, in the charity landscape, in the AI landscape, I know it's AI. And there are certain ways of doing it. So, you know, I teach like little tricks that you can do as part of your prompt, you know, using like Hemingway's rules and things like that, that remove that away. So, and that also boils down to your use case. So if you're talking to ChatGPT as imagine talking to an assistant and you want to get something out of it, it's different how it's speaking to you, right? But if you're using ChatGPT to actually create something that is going to be, you know, an email or content, then obviously you want it in the tone of the charity, right? And the charity's voice. So you'll learn exactly how to create a unique tone of voice that's specific for your charity, that once you've done it once, and Melissa will know this as well, once you've done it, I then say to you, right, it's done now, copy this, paste it into a document that we've now got, and I call it a swipe file or a knowledge base, because we're going to be bringing that back in later days. So anytime you then create any communication, it will be like, for context, these are the people that I'm, my persona. For context, this is what my charity does. And for context, this is my charity's tone of voice. And that is the difference between just saying, write me an email about 7 ways of whatever, drinking water, the benefits.
Can
So
I,
you really
can I
go
jump,
into deep.
can I jump in on there, Craig? Sorry, I don't
Yeah.
mean to interrupt you, but maybe just to bring it home for all of us in the charity sector. So what I did following Craig's training is I've got a document that I work from now, and I've created all my experts that Craig talks about. So I've now got a social media expert, I've got a volunteer coordinator, I've got a strategist, I've got a finance data analyst expert, I've got an HR and employment law specialist, I've got a health and safety specialist, a compliance manager, etc., etc. So every element of our organization, I'm trying to create an expert for. So every time we try and do a piece of work, whatever that may be, whether it's drafting an email, putting a policy together, getting a report out of ChatGPT, or uploading a report to ChatGPT, whatever it is, I've created my experts. I've already created my context, which is, this is Camp Simpler, this is who we are. And I can then take, every time I'm doing an instruction into ChatGPT, I've got everything in place, so I'm not having to recreate it. So it's kind of setting up this framework that Craig speaks about. And I've got all of my characters ready to go as soon as I want to do a new piece of work. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. You're properly my teacher's pet now. Like, I love that. That's amazing.
Okay.
That's brilliant. Wow. You get to sit next to me on the next session. Like, it's brilliant. No, that's amazing. To answer your second question about the other tools. So again, as Jeremy said, you have to kind of make it to fit everybody. Now, funny enough, I actually did a Mid-Journey course just about a week ago, which went down really well. And if you follow me on LinkedIn, you'll see I'm going crazy for all my Mid-Journey stuff at the moment, especially personalization. And I think that would be a case of putting a vote to the people, that the charities that are going to come, and basically just saying, you know, would Mid-Journey be helpful as part of that overall kind of course? Now, the thing is that Mid-Journey will be useful for people in the socials, you know, or they're writing blogs, they need images for their blogs, their social media, all that kind of thing. But it's not really useful for somebody that's into data. So we really have to try and keep it in such a way that it's kind of very overall. And then, you know, as Lisa mentioned earlier, then they can then go back and say, right, this is what I learned, and try and kind of feed it back to the team.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I've thought of a couple of things you might want answering, but has anyone else got some questions?
There's a question on the chat from Ellie Gabenta.
Okay, great. Thanks, Debbie.
I read it. Does the workshop cover integration with other tools, specifically automation tools like Power Automate? That was like gobbledygook to me, Craig, but you'll understand what that means.
Yeah. No, so this isn't it shows ways that you can automate certain things, but for this sort of like level, think of it like a foundational prompt engineering AI course for people that charities that want to use it in different use cases, and also in their day-to-day workings. So the AI, the automation thing, that is something that can come, right? But it wouldn't be for this, because then, which I'm building for my business, we get into that next stage of creating agents. So I've got agents that do different things, agents for creating optimized SEO content, researching things, competitor analysis, all these kind of things. So that's not, I wouldn't say for now, but it's certainly for the future, 100%. And it's good that you think that way ahead, which is brilliant.
Thank you. Any other questions at this point? Just a couple of thoughts for me. Why 12 people? Basically, we think that is probably the maximum that one can train over a 3-day course and keep it personal enough that everyone is getting the maximum value from it. Some teachers might disagree who have taught in classrooms of 30. But I do feel that we really want to make sure that everyone gets the maximum value from this course. And I think a room of 12 people fits nicely into that room. There may well be a lot more people wanting to apply, and that's fine. We can absolutely and will run this again, and it can be in reasonably short space of time. Why in person? Again, we've run once in person and once online. It can run online. It's better in person. What it can't do very well is be a mixture. So this will be an in-person course. It may be that in the future there's an online one run as well, but only online, if that makes sense. Just a couple of things that I was thinking of. Also, just to say, I've put a couple of places now that the link to actually sign up for that course. When you do sign up, I will come back to you just to confirm whether you have a place reserved or just how many numbers we've got, and we'll give you all the details of that at that point. And yes, because of the number of people on here and because not everyone signed up through our website, which is fine, I don't necessarily know all of your names and email addresses. So you're going to need to email me if you want the course recordings or further information about it, please. And again, I put that onto the chat. Anything further questions from people? We've done well. It's 12:52.
I think it works, Jeremy, on online and in person. But the thing is with in person, which is obviously my favorite, is because there's just a nice energy amongst everybody, and it's like a really fun thing. And it's not very. Melissa, tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it's boring. You're not just there like trying to keep your eyes open. It's fun, and also you get to know people. It's over 3 days, so you build up a rapport, and I think it's a really nice way also when people come together and it's like, oh, we do this in our organization. Did you know how maybe we could do that? And it's not just very rigid. It could be something could crop up in conversation that maybe I haven't even thought of in the charity sector, and then we find solutions to it there and then in the sessions. I would say. Yeah.
And I can also say from experience that the Work Avenue offices were very energized and sometimes noisy actually during the last course. It was a very good group. So apart from just coming back to Work Avenue a little bit and what it obviously does for the community and everyone, for charities, most of your engagement, I imagine, with Work Avenue has been to use our jobs board to try and help you make hires. And please, if you haven't done that previously or do need to and do need to employ staff, please do search our website and post a job and let us help you try and find that hire. And then the second bit, which you might not know about, my bit, which is that if you want to maybe not make a permanent hire but have a project completed by somebody and you don't have the skills internally, then some of the people I will have trained or we will have trained at Work Avenue may be able to do that, and we can get you an affordable outsourced freelancer for a short period of time. And that would, I think, has been very useful to a number of charities that I've worked with here as well. Okay, I think 5-1. Unless anyone has any final thoughts, I just want to thank Craig so much for giving us your time. I look forward. I can already see some applications coming through.
Jeremy, can I just add, just to welcome colleagues? It's lovely to see so many colleagues here. I'm a massive fan of Craig, as he knows. Craig literally lives in the office downstairs, and we see each other.
Wave to you, Debbie. There you go.
We literally see each other. We did a little bit of training. I don't know whether Jeremy mentioned, just to the team for an hour, and it was revolutionary. Literally revolutionary. It definitely changed the way I think about things and the way that the teams thought about that. And that was just 1 hour. So it is a scary world out there, and it's a world that I think the charity sector might have been a step behind sometimes. But one thing that Craig will do is be approachable, and it will not be scary. in the slightest. It'll just be really exciting and eye-opening. So welcome. And if there's anything else we can do to help you at Work Avenue, as Jeremy said, we're here to help. We really are. Lovely to see you all. Look after yourself. Keep well.
Thanks so
Thanks,
much.
Jeremy, as well. Thanks for hosting.
Thank
Thanks,
you
Craig.
all. And yes, we'll speak to you, those that are applying very soon, and we'll send the recording out of this to those whose email addresses I have and have let me know about that. Thanks so much. See you
Thanks,
then.
Melissa.
Hey, Craig, are you
Thumbs up.
leaving?
No, I'll hang around if. Ari, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'll hang around if you want me to hang around. Are
Hi,
you
Debbie.
well?
Yeah, really good. I'm glad Yao brought this to my attention. I'm really
How's the
glad
bubba?
that we joined. I hopefully we're one of the first 12 sign-ups.
Just to be clear, if there are more, we will very quickly
You'll run a second one.
put a second one
We'll
together.
run a
It
second
is
one,
more-
probably simultaneously if we
It
need
could
to.
well be, exactly. It's just
Yeah.
about timing, but it's more that we didn't want people to think that they were going to be in a mass course for 3 days without getting a personal attention, really.
Yeah. Hey, Jeremy. I wanted to ask, is it worth signing up 2 people, or is it worth? Because obviously in our team, the obvious person to sign up is our operations manager. But I feel like as CEO, technically, I think it would be helpful if we're both kind of on the same page and working together with developing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that look, it's always good when you're kind of like vibing off somebody else within, you know, your charity and saying, oh, you know, oh, we could use it here, or maybe we should be doing that there. If you're on your own, you're within your own thoughts. But you know, maybe there's an opportunity, Jeremy, that somehow, if through Work Avenue, but I would say 2, but I would also say 1. So it depends really. But Jeremy, what we could probably do is, if people want sessions afterwards,
That's what
maybe they could,
yeah.
maybe they could like book one-on-one or bring their team into the boardroom of Work Avenue and just say,
I
right,
was thinking that as well.
you've got this overall situation, and now let's really
it's going
dive.
to be expensive for you, and you might. I mean, we'll probably be doing another one. So if you find it's been so great, then you'll send another one the next time around, or we'll do something bespoke for you.
Yeah, I think if after
you'd be like, our kids first need something a little bit different. You know.
I think if after Naomi goes, hopefully joins the course and does it, is it 3 days, whatever. If afterwards, if she feels it's necessary for us to have just maybe an hour with myself and Billy, the others of the team, with Craig, and we'll come in to help, that would be really amazing.
Absolutely fine. Just so you know, we've done that very much on other courses too, both the web and the graphic design. On the last session, actually, individuals have been able to book extra sessions, so to speak, with the trainer to brush up on certain areas. So certainly that can be arranged.
And sorry, Yvonne, you're waiting. Final question. Just looking at the link, it says that it's only got 1 date on it. It says the training is on the 9th of September, 9 to 1:45, 3 days.
I'm not sure if you. It might be our system only allows that's the first day. If you flip, are you actually on the page? Are you on the page itself?
Yeah,
because the page itself does. Let me share my screen. If you flick down just before you apply, it does have the 3 dates and the times.
Okay, fine. So I haven't looked properly. Okay,
9th,
brilliant.
12th, and 16th. Yeah.
Oh, 9th, 12th, and 16th. Okay, brilliant.
But that is on the form actually.
Amazing.
Just
Thank you.
Yeah, that form that date you saw is a sort of field that we can't change.
Okay, excellent.
Our website. We need to get better website design.
And they're half days, right?
They are 9:45 to 1:45. It is fair to say, and we've run lots of training courses at Work Avenue. Once the group is set, myself and Craig will email and so forth. And if there are a majority that need it to be 9:30 to 1:30 instead of 9:45 to 1:45, then you know there's sort of slight tweaks. But that's the idea is 9:45 to 1:45.
And it's also easy to park before 2 o'clock. So if everyone's out before 2, it's easy.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much, Craig and Jeremy and Debbie.
Pleasure,
Ari.
Jeremy, someone wants you to share your email address.
Yeah, just posting it now.
Yeah, brilliant.
That's for I'm putting it on the main group, but Lilach, I hope you can see that as well. Okay. And do those still on want to ask Craig or myself something? No. Otherwise, we'll close the chat.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Jeremy, if they have any questions, they can email you.
Yeah, which absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Is that it?
I think everyone's.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Well done. Thank you very, very much. I mean, masses of people.
Wow. I'm now looking at the questions. There's a link, sign up, please email.
Yeah, I think we covered it all. So I'll stop the recording.
Yeah, okay.